on the television, oh, America's yachts, racing yachts. You see here that they are more like a space shuttle compared to a ship, because in most of the cases, even this type of ships are not even touching in sometimes the water. So here, what it is clear to all of us is that it is extreme high performance required. For this purpose, the main question that all people involved in this sector is how many knots could we gain? How fast can we go? And here, for this purpose, every milligram counts when we go into the design phase. And especially, it is not just a question of hydrodynamics, but also the engineering. And the engineering we put in place to develop these vessels is extreme. We talk about, for example, around 55,000 hours in the design and around 70,000 hours in the production. When we jump to the second sector related to sailing yachts, of course, high performance, it's also here required. Again, the question, how many knots? But here, it is not going to the milligram. We are going to the kilogram, a little bit, lighter, because we want to build a vessel which will be, at the end, also possible to be sold. A third sector is related to the luxury boat. And here we have good performance, and again, very, very important, but also the luxury, the image is very important. And here the question changes a little bit, because here what we're asking is how many cubic meters could we gain, because every cubic meter counts, to develop and to substitute and to include something that will bring leisure and would be something which will be very comfortable. And finally, we have seen that there are engineered solutions which more and more are related to zero emissions. Zero emission, which has become in the latest year something which is more a term of publicity and advertisement, because in most of the cases, like in this ferry, you see that people are being attracted by not polluting and not contaminating the environment. Also, when we talk about engineered solutions, we see that there is a trend, especially pushed by the insurance companies, that are telling you that, okay, we want to insure a very, very expensive vessel, and what we need here is to be protected against situations like fire in the fuel tanks or in the electricity boxes. And that's why we see that the new products are coming into the market, like a Leo-coated fabric, in order to protect these areas where a spark or where a little fire could light the whole vessel. Having this in mind, what we thought is, okay, what solutions can SAERTEX bring into this market? The first solution, it is obviously related to typical NCF, multi-axial fabrics. We have unidirectional, bidirectional, biaxials, triax, quadriax, and tailor-made fabrics, which are knitted and with the different layers. On top of that, what we have seen is when we talk about processing non-cream fabrics, and especially related to the area of the pre-preg, there are two main challenges. Of course, the lightweight is a must, high tensile, intermediate modulus, different constructions, but two challenges are very important. First of all is necking, and second is quilting. And this is related to the process of itself of being pulled by the manufacturer of the pre-preg. What we see is that the necking, it is produced when we pull the material, and especially in the plus-minus 45, you get like a scissor effect. And this is something we have developed our technology in order to avoid and to keep the same width of the fabric and not being pulled and having a necking effect. Another technology we included in this specific challenge to overcome the quilting. Quilting is basically related when you pull the fabric, you get like a sagging effect, and you get, the stabilization yarns very clear on the surface, which at the end, it is not what the final customer would like to see on their vessel. That is why necking and quilting special solutions have been developed and put in place in developing our special NCF for this marine sector. And not only that, we also concentrated in the use of resin. Of course, we all know the differences, and I'm not going to get in detail in the main used resin types, But we see that apart from the epoxy resins, there is a trend in the market which is going towards the use of vinyl ester resin. We went into here and we wanted to achieve the best possible properties by using the appropriate carbon material with an optimized sizing. And that is why what we developed is a material that you see compared to the non-optimized material. The vinyl ester optimized material is bringing you extreme increase in the performance. We are talking about plus 24% in the tensile strength and plus 7% in the other tensile modulus property. This is something that at the end, this significant improvement of the mechanical properties are related to the use of the right fabric choice. On top of that, what we see is that there are other issues related to this sector. Sometimes you need, as we mentioned before, a special fire resistance. And we have a series of solutions, 3 different series solutions to avoid and to have more protection in terms of fire. In case you would have a complex stacking and you would like to apply them on the surface of the hull or even in the ceilings, we have developed a special material called SAERTEX to be fixed and to be glued on the surface. And at the end, in order to increase the flow speed in the infusion process, we have materials related to the core and sulfurs, which increase the flow speed even up to 3 times what we have right now. So as you see, there is a nice portfolio of solutions, especially developed and dedicated to the marine industry. That has been, in short, what we have been, proposing to the market. That is something that we have been developing together with our customers in order to solve specific and very clear, necessities in this sector. And we are really focusing in developing and reinforcing your ideas, as we say in our claim, and support you along this journey. That has been all from our side. It's a pleasure to be here today. And if you would be interested to ask any question, please drop them on the chat. And I would like to reply to you. In case you would like to make it a little bit more private, please send any questions to my email address you see in the lower left side, s.perez@saertex.com, and then me or my colleagues, we would be happy to reply to you and to help you and support you along this journey. Please feel free to ask any questions. I see somebody is also writing right now some questions. We have a question regularly related to this sector, and many people say, hey, how is carbon related to the environment? How is the trend right now? We see that in most of the cases, the shipbuilders are going towards a vinyl ester or epoxy combination with our carbon fabrics, because on the long term, there is less maintenance and the vessels are lasting longer in the market. We see also that, how about thermoplastics? For the time being, thermoplastic is not being used so intensively from our experience. It could be that some others have other experiences, but it is not being so intensively used in the marine industry, or at least not for the main parts, like the hull and some decks. It is more perhaps dedicated to some internal or decoration parts. Okay, did you develop the sizing itself for vinyl ester? We developed a special type of roving, and what we did is adjust it together in order to obtain the special properties that we mentioned and the increase in the properties we mentioned in the slide we saw before. Are you using flax or other? Wait a moment. Are you using flax or other natural. For the time being, we are just manufacturing glass, carbon, aramide, and some specific projects in basalt and some other things, but basically we are dedicated to these materials. What about recyclability? Well, we see that, as I mentioned before, by extending the life of the material, recyclability will become lower because you will have nothing to, you will not have to recycle so often the material. Let me see what it is here. One question. Is there any difference in terms of, I don't see this very well. Let me see. Epoxy have better shrinkage properties, leading to less sanding activity. Why epoxy is excluded? No, it is not excluded. Epoxy is not excluded over vinyl ester. It is an option that we see in the market that more and more, because of the transformation process of the vinyl ester, which is for many shipbuilders becoming something more easy, they are getting even better properties compared to epoxy. And that's why, since the transformation becomes a little bit easier for them, they are using this type of special materials we have developed for this purpose. What about impact properties for boats? Brittle carbon versus more ductile glass fiber. Yeah, for the time being, if we are using the right carbon, we do not see any effects in terms of brittle. We see that the performance at the end, it becomes, even better compared to glass. What is SAERTEX market share in marine compared to other industries? Well, I can give you an idea of my market. We are extremely introducing the Iberian market, and we foresee that we will be having probably over 20-25% in this particular market. Globally, I will have to check. I don't know. I cannot tell. Do you use glass non-wovens in combination with the gel coat? Well, glass non-wovens is used in particular cases, of course, the typical chop strand mat as a protection or as a surface finish, which you would like to have very, very glossy. But what we see is by using these special technologies, typical situations, as we mentioned before, related to the sagging, the necking, and the quilting effect are minimized and are reduced. So in most of the cases, the amount of surface protection, like the chop strand mat, it's not that required so much as it is in the past. Of course, in some cases, it is advisable. What is the new SAERTEX made of? We have two versions of SAERTEX. The one version, it is the typical version made of a foam of polypropylene. That is, let's say, for standard applications in industry and also in marine. And the new SAERTEX, which is related to the fire protection, the SAERTEX Leo, it's also made of a special polypropylene, but the combination, it allows you to make the infusion in case required with charged resins. And that is the main advantage of this material, which for fire protection is allowing us to make infusion or RTM also with charged resins, which in the past were difficult to infuse and to make RTM. Okay, so from my side, I think there are no further questions addressed to me. In case you would have, as I mentioned before, any additional question, just drop them in private via my email, and of course you will get a reply quickly from our side. It's been a pleasure being here with all of you today, so do not hesitate to contact us and we will support you in this journey. Thank you very much to all of you. I hope we will see you next event in the YEC event in Paris presently. Thank you very much to all of you.